Thanks so much for joining us on Morning Live Sport. Now, the Nedbank Cup Final has found itself in the news the entire week for all sorts of reasons. And as we build up to it, it's only right that we do speak to the various stakeholders responsible for putting this showpiece together. Joining us virtually from Durban, we have Nthabiseng Matshekga. She's representing the headline sponsor. She's a marketing executive at Nedbank. We are also trying to get Dr. Vusi Mazibuko on the line or join us. He's the stadium manager at Mabhida Stadium. Nthabiseng, you know, the sentiment that has been shared on social media the entire week has been one of frustration and utter confusion. I know that social media is a microcosm, but it does represent the larger public sentiment as well. And I will admit that the irony is not lost on me that we are experiencing technical glitches currently, which is something that you experienced this week. However, the implications and the impact is different. So I think I have to start off with the question of, what was the process in choosing Mabhida as the stadium for this fixture? And why was it then selected when we know that it is going through some construction?
I mean, decisions about the stadium are taken long before we know which of the teams are going to be in the final. So it really has nothing to do with that we've got two big teams in the final. But we do look at a number of stadiums that can showcase, you know, the game, that works through our partners in the PSL to help in making some of those decisions and looking at all the different variables that they would go through. You know, Mabhida was the stadium of choice. And like I said, that happens before we know who's going to be in the final of the Nedbank Cup.
I mean, I understand that. Was there not some concern when we saw that the final was actually going to be a Soweto derby, which is one of the biggest rivalries? It's iconic, but it attracts large numbers of people. Were there not other options, again, given the rehabilitation of the various sectors of the stadium, to look at Loftus Versfeld or even Ellis Park Stadium, knowing that this would be potentially an issue?
So stadium readiness is obviously confirmed for us by our partners in the PSL, and the actual announcement happens at that last game of the semi-final. So there is no way that anybody can know that it's a derby, and therefore different plans have to be made in terms of numbers of people who are coming.
And I get that, but is there not perhaps some contingency or fluidity to the plan that allows you to pivot? Or is this something that you flag now as an issue moving forward? Sorry.
Not currently. I mean, you'd know that the semi-final took place. I mean, the final is happening a lot sooner than it normally does post the semi-final period. It's literally been 2 or 3 weeks. And at this point, I think the stadium has guaranteed the readiness. The PSL is satisfied with the readiness of the stadium to be able to host this derby. And as a supporting partner, that's what we have to go on.
Look, I understand that's the position then that you'll have to take. You did mention an important question that I was going to ask in any event is why now? You know, it's a cup and a knockout tournament that's modeled on the FA Cup, which is normally the finale. It's normally at the end of the season. It normally takes place in June. So why is it taking place now?
That was based on the various other competitions that are happening now and the time that the players would have to be able to play. So it's really based on the calendar for everything else that's happening as far as soccer is concerned at the moment.
Okay, so there are a number of catch-up games that are going to have to take place. Batty Grobler, CEO of Stadium Management South Africa, mentioned at the press conference that in terms of the refunds that took place with the ticketing issue, and we'll come to the various glitches that took place with the ticketing issue. However, he did indicate that it's about 80% resolved, and I think that was 2 days ago. Where are you guys at this point in time?
So we're still in that position. And with the spokespeople from Open Tickets and the PSL, we'll be able to provide further updates during the day. So if people can follow on the Nedbank Sports pages as well as on the PSL, they'll be able to get more up-to-date updates throughout today.
Are you ramping up what you're doing and the messaging that you're sharing on social media? Because again, that's where we are getting our finger on the pulse of how people are feeling. Various fans have said, despite not receiving their tickets, you know, they paid for it and will go into to that now. They paid for it, but they didn't receive confirmation. So they are vowing to go down to Durban. They've paid for accommodation. They've paid for their flights. And this is what led to the safety concerns. How are you interacting with them, and are you ramping it up to make sure, because, you know, they're not all watching us. We hope that that would be the case, that a large contingent of them are, but they're watching various channels. Are you getting hold of them via WhatsApp? What are you doing?
We certainly are, and there's a huge roadshow going on now with the police commissioner, the provincial police commissioner, who is visiting a lot of the media houses. We've hosted big spaces, even on social media, up until last night. And in the roadshow, really, the police commissioner and the spokespeople have given us full confidence that they have the measures in place to be able to control crowds this weekend, to ensure that people are feeling safe in and around the stadium. And intelligence is on the ground as far as the police are concerned, and they've given us the full confidence that they have that in control. Additionally, there are other things that the city is doing to be able to assist with this weekend's influx of people. The first one being that there is various park and ride situations that have been arranged through PRASA for normal and general ticket holders, and a few others for people who are holding bowl parking tickets and VIP parking tickets, and that's been communicated directly to those people in terms of where some of the park and rides can be, to try and alleviate the crowds and influx of people over the weekend. The city has also hosting 2 public viewing areas to assist with fans who are not able to get tickets to the stadium. And they're hosting these big public areas for viewings at South Beach, as well as at Alfred Park. And people won't just get the opportunity to watch the game, but they'll be able to also see great entertainment from local Durban artists. And there are other smaller viewings that were pre-arranged already at places like Max's Lifestyle, you know, at a car wash, at the Piazza, at Oceans, at West Town Centre. So there are quite a few options, again, for people to still enjoy being in a community of other Cup fans, Orlando Pirates and Chiefs fans, and be able to view the game safely outside of just the stadium.
I get that, and we have Dr. Mazibuko on the line now. Unfortunately, we don't have video, but Dr. Mazibuko, just in light of what Ntabi Singh just shared with us, that there are these public viewing areas, I think it's maybe a triple question for you. Did you not express initial concern knowing that you were undergoing renovations at Moses Mabhida and therefore you had reduced capacity? Is this something that you flagged, or did you accept it and take it on and believe that you could handle it? Because I know that you have hosted big events in the past. And then the second and third part of my question are, you've had this incident with Kaizer Chiefs fans, even though it wasn't a derby, it was against Free State Stars in 2018, where there was a stampede. And then in light of the reduced capacity, was this not something that you flagged immediately as a red flag? And then finally, people that bought tickets and maybe didn't get their tickets, they don't necessarily want to watch in public viewing areas. So how are you going to handle the fans that aren't necessarily welcome or don't have access on the day?
Thank you so much. There is no stadium.
Dr. Mazibuko, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can
okay,
hear you.
So here's oh, there we go.
Yes. I'm saying there is no stadium in the country that can host a derby final and not be full to capacity. So what is important is that as tickets were sold out, the stadium complies with the SASTRA Act. Obviously, when we announced that the stadium was going to go through some maintenance and renovations, but we did indicate that we're not going to close the stadium. So those concerns were not there because we have continued to host events and we comply. I think what is of concern is what we heard from people that are saying they don't have tickets, but they will still come down to Durban. It is for that reason that we have offered alternative viewing areas for them, because we knew that a final of this magnitude, not every football-loving South African will be able to get a ticket, given the demand. From our side, we have engaged with the security services, and we have complied with all the provisions of the law to make sure that we have a safe event.
Dr. Mazibuko, I'm sorry for interrupting you because I don't want to run out of time without you getting a chance to maybe answer this as well. There was the issue of fake tickets in 2018. Batty Grobler has spoken about the dual scanning system as well. What other measures are you putting in place to ensure that there aren't fake tickets making their way into the stadium or confusion around, the old slip tickets and now the new measures that have been put in place?
No, we've put measures to make sure, in terms of the entrance, people will be double scanned to make sure that the tickets are valid and they go through a security check before you come to the turnstiles to be scanned again to go into the stadium. So we are certain that those measures that have been taken are going to assist. But what is also critical is that all the routes leading to the stadium are going to be manned and policed, and there are going to be road closures that are controlled, and we encourage supporters that have valid tickets to come in time.
I do get the sense from both of you, and I know it is a challenging thing, that many of the responses are based on what works in theory, but not necessarily what works in practice. Because when fans are vowing, they want to go and see their teams perform, they want to watch this derby as well. They're still going to make their way down there. And Thabiseng, perhaps I should then ask this question to you. We know, about the situation of overbooking tickets, for example, in the airline industry. There's incentives given to people that fall victim to a glitch in the system. Have you done that with the fans that haven't received their tickets as a measure to mitigate maybe their intention to come down to the stadium? Have you said, you might get first access to pre-sales for the next Nedbank Cup Final or the next derby? Or have you given them a discount on something of some sorts in order to allay their anger or quench their anger rather?
To be clear, Stacey, Nedbank doesn't sell or distribute tickets.
I get that. I do get that, yeah.
Only through the partner of PSL, which is Open Tickets. So that's not something that Nedbank can do. It's not necessarily our system, and we don't, have the clarity whether this will be an ongoing partnership for the PSL either. Besides what has been communicated, that people will receive clear messages around whether they have the ticket or not, and be able to get a refund if they've paid for a ticket that they haven't received. That is really at the moment what can continue to be communicated to people.
I understand, sorry, and I know I have to let you go, but I understand that that's something that you are not normally in charge of, but this is the situation at hand. Okay. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. We do have to let it go. We were discussing the ticketing situation regarding the Nedbank Cup Final for that Soweto derby taking place tomorrow at the Moses Mabhida Stadium with its reduced capacity. Many people purchased tickets. They didn't get confirmation of those tickets, and they then will be issued a refund, but they vowed to make their way to the stadium in Durban. If you are watching and that's, your situation, I hope that you have listened to the warnings as well, and perhaps go to one of those viewing areas and then take up your concerns and your complaints through the various channels as well, and continue to engage with us on X if you did manage to sort that situation out. That's it for sports for now. We'll